next episode of Real Talk, I've got Hannah Southwell, rugby league great at 22, but I'll get into that in just a moment. We like to start it off with mandatory pledge that you're going to be real. So no fake talk here. Can you abide by those rules, Hannah?
100%. I'm going to be real.
Love it. Okay, so first things first, I like to kick things off with you having a bit of homework and describing yourself in one word. Was it hard to think of one word?
It was difficult. I've been called a few different things, but I thought I'd sort of stick with chill. My mum hates that I've got a tattoo that says chilled out. So I just thought I'd rub that in mum's face and say a bit of chill.
That's great. Where's the tattoo?
Just on my leg, the front of my leg, it says chill out. I think last lockdown, just after we finished the lockdown here, I had a bit of a tattoo snap and just got about 5 little tattoos. So yeah, not great for mum. Did you? What do you do?
Okay, tell me the other 4 now that we're on this roll.
Yeah, I've obviously got that one, and then I've got one on my shoulder. It's just like a little sun. I've got another one on my legs, just a little flower, and then I've got 3 on my fingers that it's just like a smiley face and just little baby ones. So yeah, a bit random, but after lockdown I had a bit of a tattoo craze.
And have they got any meaning, or you kind of like, I like these pictures, I just want to get them?
Yeah, just I like these pictures mainly. I've always been like a pretty relaxed person and didn't really care too much. So that's where that obviously chill out one sort of has come from. Yeah. But the other ones are just like the pictures.
Love it. That's great. And why would you describe yourself as being chilled?
I don't know. I just I've never been like highly strung or anything like that. I didn't really care too much about things that happen outside of footy, obviously. And it's just been my personality growing up. So I guess that's where it's come from.
Yeah, for sure. I would definitely agree with you. I think you are chilled. I like to think of a word too, and I was trying to think of something that resembles your success away and on the footy field. So I came up with quiet high achiever. So you are someone who's chilled, but you've achieved so much at 22. So this probably leads into the introduction of you, Hannah Southwell. You've just been appointed as the first ever female director on the RLPA board. But on the footy field, you've played for Australia now. You represent New South Wales in the State of Origin. You've played for the Dragons. Now you play for the Roosters in the NRLW. You play for the Central Coast Roosters. But then, this always gets me because I feel like I need a deep breath to explain everything that you've done. You played in the W League as a goalkeeper for the Newcastle Jets. At 15, you were the youngest goalkeeper. Then you were like, you know what? I'm really good at this. You played for Australia in the junior teams. And then you played sevens for Australia as well. So you're actually a triple Australian representative. That is incredible.
Yeah, it's pretty freaky looking back at it all. It wasn't my goal at all to do all of those sports, that's for sure. But it's pretty cool. It'll be something cool to tell my kids, I think, when I grow up.
Oh my gosh, they'll be so proud of you. And I just need to reiterate to all of our listeners, Hannah is 22. Yes, she's done all that and you're 22. But let's get into the RLPA stuff, because that's been the most recent. Tremendous sporting career already on the sporting landscape. But how did this come about?
I really wasn't sort of thinking. Sorry, my dog's in the background.
Hello, dogs.
I really, I wasn't really planning on it. Obviously, the RLPA disposition sort of came up, and you could put your name forward and see if that was something you'd be interested in. And I just thought someone else would be better for the job, so I wasn't really too keen to put my name forward. And then I did, and I'm really glad that I did. I didn't realise that the other players in the advisory group voted who they wanted to be on the board. And I got the votes, which was amazing. I was not expecting that at all. And kind of just went from there. So I'm really glad that I did do it. It's a really awesome opportunity, and I can't wait to sort of get stuck into a few different things in the women's game and hopefully change a few different things.
Yeah, you're a board director, but I need to rewind a little bit. So why didn't you really want to apply for it? Why weren't you that keen at the start?
To be honest, I just thought there'd be someone else more suitable. My job isn't stressful, but I thought I wouldn't have a lot of time to commit to a board member role. And I just thought, yeah, like I said, someone else would be better suited. So I didn't really put my name forward. And then I had a bit of think about it, and spoke to Lena from the RLPA, and yeah, just sort of went from there, I guess. But yeah, always just thought someone else would be better. But I'm really glad that I did do it.
Yeah, it's incredible. Congratulations. And the advisory group who vote, can you explain that to us?
Yep. So I think there's a group of 12 girls in the advisory group. I think the boys have got it as well. And we kind of just liaise with the RLPA and just make a few different decisions here and there on the women's game, and they kind of get our opinion, and they relay that on to the NRL. So yeah, it's just a group of us getting together in a little group chat. It's very difficult to get together during COVID, obviously. But yeah, we just sort of make decisions on behalf of the playing group, and yeah, just go from there.
And for our listeners, we should mention that the RLPA is the Rugby League Players Association. I should have mentioned that one at the top. So yes. It's the advisory group that try and have a say, and also I guess you get to have a say with the NRL and ARLC Commission, correct?
Correct, yeah.
Yeah. So let's talk about what's next. What are you working on, and where do you get to have a voice? Is there something that's already on the drawing board?
Yeah, so we've got the CBA up for negotiation in 2022. So that's coming around very fast, and I'm in talks with the RLPA about what that's going to look like, and what we're hoping to achieve for the next cycle, I guess. So yeah, that's very exciting. I know the women's game isn't too much a part of the current CBA. I don't actually think we have a CBA. It's just kind of slipped in the boys CBA that we're a part of it. So the next one, I'd be really keen to either have our own CBA or be involved with the boys one. So yeah, that's a massive one coming up in 2022, and yeah, I can't wait to get stuck in and hopefully make a few changes for the better.
That is going to be big. CBA, collective bargaining agreement. So this is like where you can enforce to the ARLC and the NRL as a game that you, the women want money, and where you want the money allocated in. And I guess outside of financial benefits, structure, mental health help, assistance, financial assistance, healthcare. Is that what way you're going down? Like what does the agreement look like this far? What do you want included?
Yeah, I guess obviously better terms for the girls. There's been a few discussions this year and a few different things that have happened that yeah, we weren't really happy with it as a playing group, but you can't do too much if you're not really included in the CBA. So we don't really have too much to fall back on. So when we do the new one, we'll definitely have a few different clauses in there, a few different, I guess, ideas on where the women's game is going. And yeah, I guess stipulate that to the RLPA and then to the NRL. So yeah, we haven't really gone into too much discussion at the moment, but we just want to make change and just want to make it a fair playing field for the girls, because at the moment it's not.
Yeah. Anybody who thinks it is living under a rock right now. But it's great, because it's great that they've appointed a female finally onto the director's board, a player. And I think also that collective bargaining agreement coming up is a real opportunity. What were some of the things that the advisory group and the broader playing group weren't happy with?
Oh, that's a tricky one. I guess the short turnaround between the NRLW seasons. I know we finished the last season in October, and then the new one wasn't really discussed until April, May, if I'm right. So that's just not good enough, and we need to discuss what we're going to do. I know COVID and a few other things have happened, and obviously COVID again this year, but if we're going to move forward as a game, we need to discuss these things a lot earlier. We can't be leaving it a month or 2 months before we're actually meant to be playing. It's just not good enough, and it's not giving the girls. We're not full-time athletes. We're semi-professional, and we can't. I know there's a lot of mothers, a lot of families, and people that can't just drop work for the NRLW season. So it just needs to be discussed a lot earlier, and just put more thought into it, to be honest, because it is a growing game, and there's a lot more women playing rugby league and jumping codes, especially. So yeah, it just needs to be, I guess, looked after a little bit better.
You just bring up so many different talking points in my head because I'm going, AFLW expansion just happened, and we're talking about
Yeah.
trying to have a bit more equality. And right now, we think that the NRLW season will start week of grand final. But you're so right. We've seen women's participation numbers go through the roof. You know, we've got in New South Wales alone nearly 30,000. Like this is the area of growth. This is women want to play rugby league, but if you don't have a good enough product on show or a big enough product, then I think you need to brainwash an audience to let other women and men know that it's out there. So where do you go from here when you're looking ahead? Because right now, correct me if I'm wrong, but in January, February, already in November, you're doing pre-season for your state competition, so your Central Coast Roosters. Then you start playing in March, April, and then in between that, you're doing Jillaroos camps. You may do chats or maybe a off training session with New South Wales. If you represent All Stars, you might have played in that in February, and then you play during the season. You play State of Origin before you have even played finals for your local comp, and you haven't even looked at NRLW yet. Then you've played already a local grand final, you've played a State of Origin, and then you've got to prepare for what is supposed to be the marquee product that runs for 6 rounds. And then after that, you're supposed to have Australian Tests and a Rugby League World Cup. So what's priority?
That's a fantastic question. And I think that's where the women's game needs to be sat down at a table and looked at, because there's a lot of different parties that want a piece of us that just can't have us. We need to discuss, like you said, what is the priority? And at the moment, we just have so many different priorities. Like the boys, they've got their priority is their club. And we have 3 different clubs and so many different things happening. We can't really prioritize any particular team. So I guess that needs to be discussed, and that'll be discussed in, I think, the new CBA that'll roll out in 2022, 2023. So yeah, it's a tricky question. Me personally, I just take every day as it sort of comes, because I can't, I guess, commit to Jillaroos down the end of the year when I've got an NRLW team that I'm trying to perform really well. So I'm just taking it days it comes, and yeah, just going from there, because it's very hard to prioritize and have a full-time job. So yeah, it's very difficult, that's for sure.
And that is what women are dealing with. You're in this really awkward position where you all are either full-time workers, part-time workers, mothers, sisters. You're trying to juggle life with sport, and you want to be professional athletes. For our listeners, what do you do outside of rugby league, trying to juggle that?
Yeah, so I am a business development manager at Macquarie Knight Construction. So it's just a construction company here in the Hunter Valley. I live in Newcastle, which makes it difficult for travelling to Sydney for the Roosters training, but that's not happening at the moment. So yeah, I'm a business development manager, and yeah, I just oversee and have a chat to a few different people in the Newcastle area to, I guess, bring in business and yeah, to get our product out there.
Yeah, for sure. I love it. So let's go back to this CBA. And when you saw the news that AFLW were expanding, what were your immediate thoughts?
Wow, they're expanding and we're still at grassroots. That was my immediate thought. But we obviously don't want to push our product to a position where it's not good enough. I'm not saying that AFL is by any means. I love actually watching the women's AFL. I think it's fantastic. But yeah, it's just disappointing that it's taken so long for us to grow and I guess be at a level where AFLW is at. So yeah, it's exciting because we will eventually grow, but it's just taken a long time, and yeah, it's just a bit disappointing.
Is there discussions that you have with the RLPA to enforce a structure where every NRL club has to start developing a women's team? Like there's some teams who, Knights are a perfect example, weren't ready to have a team in this year's NRLW competition, but Warriors pulled out because of COVID, and the NRL were like, look, we'll help you. We just really need to have 6 teams. In my opinion, every NRL club should have already started the grassroots, and some are. West Tigers, they're doing really well with an academy and Natasha Gale. That's one example. but it should almost be compulsory so we don't fall so far behind. Because I feel like, and I'm sure you agree, when that AFLW expansion came out, athletes, women, go, oh my gosh, there's 18, which means there's going to be a longer season, which means I could be an athlete for half of the year, not 4 rounds.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, that would be nice. That would be nice. But yeah, look, I know the Knights do have a bit more of a grassroots compared to other teams. And I think it's Souths do and Tigers, like you said. And I think they should make it compulsory, and that'll be discussed in the new CBA. I think making sure clubs do have a grassroots level. I think it was like a knee-jerk reaction to put in these women's teams when it first sort of happened. I think it was in 2018. It was just like, oh, quick, all these other codes are putting in women's teams. We need to quickly jump on the bandwagon. Not saying it was, but that's kind of what it seemed like. And there was no real grassroots, as far as I'm aware, with the clubs. I know the clubs have done a fantastic job the last couple of years in building their grassroots up, but yeah, it just makes it difficult when there's not a lot of time and money put into those lower levels.
Yeah, money. There's plenty of it. And so when you're looking at the NRL expanding with another Brisbane side, I don't know about you, but I'm seething. I am going, that's going to cost the game so much money. How about you put it into where the participation numbers are skyrocketing? And look, I'm sure you're the same. I'm not having a nasty dig at the game because it at least has a women's competition. But there comes a point in time where they need to kick up the butt and they need to realise that the women's game needs more attention.
100%. Yeah, I agree with that. When I heard that, I couldn't believe it. Oh my gosh, another Queensland team. Come on, it's time to put money into the women's game. But yeah, look, it's just it's growing, and like I said, it's hard to push for these things when we don't have a fullback in the CBA. So yeah, hopefully things change when we redo that.
Can't wait to see that CBA. When is it expected to be finalised?
I could be wrong here. I think it's meant to be finalised end of 2022, start of 23, but I could be wrong.
That is in line with the new broadcast rights deal, yeah?
Yes.
That would make sense. Yeah, cool. All right, so we'll move away from that and we'll move on to another topic that creates a bit of discussion in the background, and you may not have heard, but premiership rings. So I often get spoken to by usually men. I actually have never been asked this by a woman, but in the NRLW until this year, it's been 4 teams and a grand final, so 3 weeks and basically a 4-week comp, plus a preseason. But the winner, and unfortunately you don't have one yet, but that could change, is a premiership ring. And it's been suggested that premiership rings, why do the women get one when they only have a 4-week comp? When you hear this, how does it make you feel?
Yeah, look, I didn't hear this before you spoke about it, and I don't know. I haven't really, I guess, processed it, but it's just like, well, if you make our season longer, like you guys are full-time athletes, we're semi-professional, like put more time and effort into our game, and yeah, maybe it'll become a bit more fair. But look, I don't know. I think it's fine. It's classed as NRLW, so why not have a premiership ring? But yeah, look, I think it's a bit silly coming from the boys that they think we don't deserve a ring, because we're trying as best we can to, I guess, become professional athletes. So yeah, it's an interesting one.
Yeah, and I think, is there a realization that you deserve it? Like, what would you say to those people? And trust me, it's probably no more than 1, maybe and a half handfuls who have brought it up with me. So it's certainly a minority, but I think it just raises the question, why do the women deserve it? And explain that to them.
Yeah, well, look, we're not professional athletes. We're, like you said, mums and daughters just trying to compete at the highest level. So I think that in itself, and obviously juggling a rugby league career, is deserving of a premiership ring. So yeah, look, I think there's no issues with it, and yeah, just bring the rings on, even though I haven't won one.
But this year, maybe
This year, maybe.
And it's
maybe.
important for those people and the critics to realize that also the women are working all year round. You might not be on the TV screen for
Yeah.
longer than a month, but there are up to 4 pre-seasons that you do, local origin camps, Australian Jillaroos camps, and then you move into an NRLW camp. So there is so much work that happens behind a TV screen. So I would add that onto your debate because don't you worry. When somebody brings that up to me, I happily want to punch them in the face, but I don't.
That's great.
I got you back, don't worry. Let's move to the premiership, and you'll be back playing for the Sydney Roosters, the Tricolours. You had an incredible year last year. You won Tackle of the Year and RLPA Champions Award. Mate, your tackle tech scares the living daylights out of me, and I know it scares the living daylights out of a lot of other people.
Oh, that's great. No, we're all friends off the field, so no, it's not serious.
It's a great, and you're the girl who wears the headgear. We all know you to wear your headgear, and you've got a great story around that, which we won't go too far into, but Sam Squires and On Her Game podcast did a fantastic episode with you on that. Basically, in a nutshell, you weren't allowed to play from your parents if you didn't wear your headgear after a couple of knocks. So it's definitely listen to that one outside of this podcast if you haven't heard it. But last but not least, to finish things off, smokey. So for those who aren't in a sporting circle or a rugby league circle, a smokey is somebody who you wouldn't predict to be the elite or a standout in the season. And I'll ask you on a club and a player.
Sorry, what was that last bit? It just cut out.
Sorry, a smokey on a club who you think will do well you're not expecting, and a player who you think will do well in your side who you're not expecting.
Oh, that's a tough one. I think Manly or South will come out of nowhere and just do really well.
No, not on the men's.
Oh, on us,
women's. Sorry. I like
on
that too, though. I'll use that.
Sorry. Yeah, definitely use that. The women, okay. Yeah, right. Tricky one. It's hard because when you're in season, you hear all these things and how these clubs are going and they're looking really good. So obviously being in lockdown, it's hard to sort of gauge, but obviously the Broncos, I think, will be very strong again this year. And also, this is a tough one.
Is there a player that you've played alongside who's picked up a contract in your Roosters team who you can't wait for other people to see?
We've actually got a fair few girls in our Central Coast Roosters team that I think will do really, really well this year. They're hard workers, underdogs. I won't name any names because there's about 5 of them, but they're looking to be really, really good. Actually, I'll put one on the spot. Taylor.
Oh, thank you.
She plays in the front row. She plays in the front row for us at the Central Coast Roosters. And look, I played with her for CRL Newcastle back in the day. And she has just grown into a fantastic player, and she is going to absolutely kill it this year. So I can't wait to see her play. She's just, going to have a ripper year.
Great. Taylor, last name?
Prevedon. I think that's how you say it.
Taylor Prevedon. All right, noted. Watch this space. Front rower. Can't wait. Love that. That's great. I so appreciate you having a chat with me. You were so real. There was no fakeness about you. I wouldn't expect that from you anyway. But thanks so much, Hannah.
That's good. I'm glad. No dramas at all.